Okay, we're live now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this virtual meeting of the Corporate Parenting Board. For those of you who don't know me, I am Councillor Chris Hobson and I am Chair of this board. Can I remind all participants that we are meeting virtually. Therefore, proceedings may take slightly longer than normal, so your patience is appreciated. We are live on YouTube, so please ensure you are mindful of this in your questions and comments. Normal rules of procedure questions to be directed through the chair, please. Can I also welcome Councillor Miles to this meeting, who is the Executive Member for Children's Services. Thank you. Go into the meeting. First item on the agenda is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. We have apologies from Mick Saunders, Jeanette Walker, Councillor Lee Garvey, and we also have some officer apologies. So we have Nikki Ayres, Kelly Dunning, Paul Rudd, Victoria Banks, Chris Joins, and we also have apologies from Carl Snowball. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have we got any declarations of interest for this meeting, please? Now, I can't see anybody at all. My screen, everybody seems to be blank. I can see 3 people, that's all. Susie, can you let me know if you can see anybody?
I can't see any hands, Chair, so I think you're okay. I think we're safe to move on with the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. The minutes of the Corporate Parenting Board of the 18th of January. Now, I'd like to just say here that Democratic Services work really hard on these minutes, and I know that you all do appreciate them. But this time, Susie has worked extra hard because she had COVID and she's worked through COVID. So thank you, Susie, for all the hard work that you do. Can I ask, please, that somebody will agree these minutes? Thank you, Zafar. See your hand up. Have we got a seconder?
I'll second the Chair.
Thank you, Dorothy. Right, we'll move on. COVID-19 update. This is from the Director of Children's Services and will be provided by a verbal report from Sue Butcher.
Thank you, Chair. Not a huge amount to say this time, and we might want to look at the frequency of COVID reporting going forward as things are moving back to some normality. In terms of a quick report from schools, education aspects, COVID rates continue to decrease in the lead up to half term. Schools are now focusing efforts on understanding the impact of disruption to learning that's been caused by the pandemic. Attendance and oversight of our vulnerable children is a key priority for the Council, and the Safeguarding Partnership is continuing to implement the challenges outlined in a letter from Indra Morris. The letter from Indra Morris, Indra is from the Department of Education, the Director General Children's Services Communications and Strategy Group. And she really has, she's written to all DCSs, safeguarding partnerships, around what is expected in terms of caring for children and in terms of their well-being and vulnerable children moving towards and moving through COVID. So our safeguarding partnership has been really, is really quite carefully looking at this. So, for example, one of the aspects of it, our partners are working with virtual school heads to support the attendance of looked after children and the extended group of children with a social worker that they support. So, as I've said, Safeguarding Partnership is continuing to implement these challenges, the work to mitigate against these challenges. So the attendance of vulnerable children, and that includes looked after children, is very much seen as a priority. In terms of children's social care, really it's business as usual. As with schools, we are looking at what the impact on children might be. Some of those things are now coming to the fore. But yeah, generally, that's the update for today. And as I've said, we might want to consider whether a COVID update at every meeting is still relevant, or maybe it's every other week, every other month, sorry, every other meeting, and perhaps review it at that point. but I'm open to suggestions. So thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I think every other month now, I think would be ideal. I don't know what other members think, but anybody want to come in on that? Thank you, Dorothy.
I totally agree with what you're saying. So, Chris and Sue, Councillor Hobson, and so I think every 2 months will do now. Let's hope it stays like that. I'm sure if it gets any worse, we can go back to monthly again. Could we do that, Chair?
Yes, thank you. Anybody else have anything to say on that? Can't see any hands, but I can only see a very few people. So if you would like to speak, speak now. Right, okay. We'll move on. So the next item on the agenda is participation of children, young people in Middlesbrough. And I'm going over to Xavier and Kathy for this report, please.
Thank you very much. I think I've got a glamorous assistant, Hannah, who's going to put up the presentation. So we did send out a report to everyone prior to this meeting, so hopefully you've all had a chance to read it. So this presentation is really picking up on key points from the report that Xavier and I will go through. So Xavier, are you ready? I know I'm doing the first couple of slides.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm great.
Wonderful, thank you very much. So you can see on the first slide some wonderful photographs that we took during the Care Leavers Forum. This is a group that we meet on a Thursday night. We meet them from 5:30 till 7 o'clock of an evening. So some wonderful pictures that we took. And then on the second slide, just a bit about participation. I know that Hannah's come to this meeting quite a few times before, so she would have talked about the work of participation people. I joined them November last year on a 2-day contract to support Borough Council to re-establish the children in care group. So I've been working very hard, and I'll go into detail in a minute about that. You're aware that there are other youth voice groups being set up by Laurie and Alice, who also are part of Participation People. And I assume you'll get an update at some point about those later on in other meetings. So in terms of the work that I've been doing since I've been in post in November, so slide 3. So over the Christmas period, I contacted 135 care leavers and messaged them all to inform them about the Care Leavers Forum. And we have 7 young people who are part of the group. Not all 7 turn up on a Thursday night, depends what commitments they've got. But we have got a good voice of young people. And obviously we're continually recruiting for young people to join that group. The way that we go about doing that is that I'm going around to all the teams. So I was at the Pathway team meeting this morning, talking to them about the group. They have leaflets that they send to their young people. And obviously the key is having a conversation with young people about the benefits of joining the group. It's a social gathering, we have fun, and it's about them having a voice on key issues, things that they raise themselves, but also they've been asked certain questions of things to think about, and all their information is then fed into senior managers that will strategically place it within their plan to develop services. We did start in January to run all the groups, and we had 3 groups set up: the mini CICC, the Children in Care Council and the Care Leavers Forum. We've had 3 sessions of the mini CICC. Unfortunately, we haven't had any young people attend that group, and that's for young people 7 to 12. So we still held the meetings, we still promoted the group with foster carers and the looked after teams. But unfortunately, we didn't have any young people attend. Now, in my experience, it is harder to get that group of young people to come out of an evening and sit in a group. So we are running a couple of activities, fun activities on the 24th of February, a bit of a recruitment drive, and to ask young people if they want to be part, if they want to join a group, they want to set up a group. Now, they might choose not to form a group, but they might tell us different ways that they want to have their voice heard. So the good thing is that we're very flexible. We will go out to young people in a variety of ways, and we'll go to settings. You know, there's lots of things that we will create to ensure that all these young people have a voice. Children Care Council meeting. We've got a meeting tonight, so I'll be heading up to Middlesbrough straight after this meeting to run the group with Xavier, and we've got an IRO who help us run that group, and we have 2 young people. Again, we're recruiting hard to get more young people to come along to that group, but those two young people are amazing, and they've helped us tremendously with certain pieces of work, and they're helping us design the event on the 24th of February as well. And then we've got the Care Leavers Forum. So we've got 7 young people that come along to that group at different times. So they've been helping us a lot. I was at the Designated Teachers Conference on Friday, so I spoke to a lot of designated teachers. We've got a list that I think Xavier's working through at the moment of all the designated teachers, because we've got a lot of schools who have looked after children in their schools. So we'll support the young people, we'll promote the groups with their young people. But again, we could go into those settings, into those individual schools, and meet with a group of young people over lunchtime or whatever suits them really, to make sure that their voice is heard. And I've also joined the Middlesbrough Fostering Facebook group. So I've posted on information about the groups, about the celebration events on the 24th of February. Had someone ask a question about what is the Children in Care Council today. So I was able to explain a bit more, but it's good to have that conversation with foster carers directly. And they're very enthusiastic to promote these groups with their young people. I think it's over to you, Xavier.
Yeah, so this is the leaflets that we have designed and created. The 2 on the left is for the Children Care Council and the Care Leavers Forum. Just a bit more information. I have sent this out to managers to advertise and get young people to come and join. I've also sent it to Paul Rudd so we can get it to the independent fostering agencies as well. So on the right is our event that we're holding on the 24th of February. The first one is for young people aged 7 to 12, and the one on the right is 13 to 17-year-olds. So what the young people issued identified so far. So trusting people who support us. No false promises made. An understanding of what makes a positive and negative relationship. A trusting relationship with our social workers and PAs. Our access to ID, passports, birth certificates, provisional, full driving licence and national insurance. Just as any other young person would when they're turning 18, we would like access to the ID. So it's there and ready, so we can actually go out and venture and go and get a job. So information about how we can access to our care records. So how can we actually access our records, and what's the process of that, and who we actually go to. And more support for care leavers who become parents. So more support for dads, more support for young women for when they do have a baby. So the plans for 2022. So celebration activities for care experienced young people to be held during school holidays. All team meetings to attend. So we ensure that young people attend as well. So all the care experienced young people to join young people from Hounslow and Wandsworth on the residential in March. Residential homes to be visited to discuss the groups with staff and their young people. Reschedule care leavers celebrations, which is held on the 23rd of February. Survey to be sent out to all care experienced young people and ask them questions about their health, education settings, voice and support. and create a hashtag youth voice on the road. Capture the voice of young people who do not wish to attend a group. Back to Kathy.
So I think you've probably seen this before. So we created a roadmap for this year. So this includes children who are looked after, care leavers, and young people across Middlesbrough to have a voice. So so this captures all the activities plus the ones that Xavier's just gone through as well, of the wonderful things that we're going to be doing in Middlesbrough, certainly until July, if not longer. So key things are we're looking at delivering some training for corporate parents. So I think Hannah's working on, you know, designing what that will look like, working with the corporate parents on the key things that you want to be trained on and how we go about delivering that. So we need to have those dates in everybody's diaries, and it will be a great chance for young people. I think Xavier is going to be involved as well, to have, you know, we'll facilitate and you can co-facilitate that at Xavier. That'd be really good. So Hannah, I don't know if there's anything else that you want to pick up on.
Sorry, I couldn't find where my unmute button was. No, not at all, unless there's any questions from the room.
Right, have we got any questions, please? Councillor Cooper, I can see your hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Xavier, the leaflets that you showed us, would it be possible to have a copy of those sent to my email, and I'll circulate them on my Facebook page? I do this for quite a lot of different parts of the council, and it'll get you some free advertising. Is that
That's
okay?
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Thank you.
Can you send it to all members, Xavier, please?
Yeah, I will do.
We can all put it out there. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Higgins?
Sorry, Chair. Just hang on. Can't find my mute button.
You're okay. I can hear you.
Oh,
Councillor
God.
Higgins.
Didn't think I was that loud. I was a bit concerned when the young man was talking about when people reach 18 and they've been in care and they don't know how to get a passport, they don't know how to get a driving license. I'm surprised at that. I would have thought that was one of the major things that happened before they left the care system. Because it's vital for if they need a job, that they've got to have some identification. So I thank you. I'm glad you brought that to our attention, and I would like that to be moved forward before the child or children are 18, the young people are 18.
Yeah. The good thing is that we're linking in with Siobhan, well, all the managers, but Siobhan Davis, who is the principal social worker, from receiving the information on those issues. They've get my teeth in. They've created a you said we will so that document. So what they're doing is they're recording all the issues that young people have raised and identified a we will. So what that actually means in terms of the support afforded to young people. So they have identified that as a social worker for a looked after child, these are the things that need to be talked about with young people and foster carers, about having all of these things in place. So when you are about to leave care to go into independence, you've got everything that you need to be successful, and you've got all your ideas. So it starts before you become a care leaver, and it's just making sure that that support to young people is, you know, is identified, and it's very clear about what young people have got. So we've already identified that, and a lot of work will be done around that.
Could you tell me when that will start, please?
They're currently working through the detail at the moment. So these issues have only been kind of issued in the past week or so, a few days. So as managers, they're working out, they've got the information from the young people, they now need to identify in detail what they're planning on doing. So I would hope, I haven't got any time scale at the moment, but I'd hope that wouldn't take that long, because obviously once they've filled in that form, we can then take it back to the young people and check out with them that what managers and services are saying that they're going to deliver is what the young people are saying that they want, and add to it.
Thank you, Kathy. Could you bring some update
Chair,
at the next
please.
meeting? Oh, sorry, Chair. Could you bring some update to the next meeting, please, so we can see how far along we are?
Lost that, Councillor Higgins. We lost you halfway through that. Can you ask
Sorry.
that again?
Yes, thank you, Chair. At the next meeting, could you bring an update on how far people have progressed, so we can keep an eye on this? Because I know everybody's very busy, and sometimes some things seem more important and they get done, and something gets left behind. So I would appreciate it, Chair, if we could have it on the agenda next time for a report.
Right, thank you. I can see Paula Jemison's hand up. Paula.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to reiterate what Kathy has shared there. So we did get the report with the young people's views this week, and we've already started to consider you said we will do. So there was a meeting held yesterday to start looking at how we might be able to respond and do better in some of these areas. So I think it's we will absolutely be able to present that back to the young people before next corporate parenting board and start those discussions, and we'll be able to update board at the next board meeting.
Thank you. Tia, did you want to come in on that? Tia, you're on mute.
Sorry. I was wondering if we could have any leaflets for the virtual school, as we do have young people coming in, and it'd be good to give them the leaflets and talk to them about it a bit.
Yeah, that should be fine. I'll send them
idea.
over.
Excellent idea. Thanks, Tia. Councillor Davison, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to know where and when and how often do you meet these young people? Because you're saying you meet up with young people, but where do you meet up with them? Is it a group session? Whereabout do you have these sessions? Is it easy for young people to get to wherever you have these sessions? Thank you.
Xavier, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we have young people, and it is a group session at Easterside Hub. We have mini kick, which is 7 to 12-year-olds at Easterside Hub. That's from 4:30 till.
Well, we've kind of put the mini one on hold until we have the 24th of February, where the invites for that group of young people will come along and tell us what they want. And so we meet Tuesday night at Easterside Hub.
And that's every week.
Night, and that's every week, yeah. So these groups are running weekly. And on Thursday night, we meet at the Pathways team building, which is quite central to town. But you're right. One of the questions we're always going to be asking young people is about accessibility, making sure that we're creating groups at a time, at a venue that's going to meet their needs. Now, I'm not sure how big Middlesbrough is, or where the population, excuse me, of young people generally are. For looked after children, it might be the other side of Middlesbrough. So getting across to Easterside for 5:30 might not be doable for a lot of people. And also a lot of young people. I was talking to a foster carer the other day who's got three boys, and they all do groups of an evening. So they're swimming and they're at scouts and they're doing various other things. So, but they would love to have a voice. So the foster carers supporting us in working out the best way that his 4 children can still be involved, but not necessarily of an evening. So it might be a Saturday morning that we create something for them. It might be just, fun events, at a weekend that we create. So we are very flexible in what we can provide.
Can I just come in again, Chair, please?
Certainly.
Also, I just wondered if you could possibly do more during the school holidays. Because the young people, sometimes they're at loose ends, and if there was something that was going on for them, especially if you let them know via the foster parents and the homes they're in that these events are on.
Yeah, so we've got the 2 sessions on the 24th of February. So we'll be asking the young people during those sessions if we were to hold something again, and we will, what would they like to do? Where would they like to go? And we're very much into having fun and splitting it, kind of the not the boring, because we always make it fun, but asking them the questions about their experiences, which can, it's very emotive for young people talking about their experiences and what they want. So we try to do that in a fun way, but still ask the questions, because it's important for us to hear what they've got to say, for us to develop services to meet their needs, but also for after that to go off and have a fun time, to go up a climbing wall or go bowling or play football or do those kind of things. So we're going to find out from the young people on the 24th. Then we're going to set something up. We've got a date already for the Easter holidays, and we've got something happening in the May holidays that young people will help us design those events. And if they want more, then we can put on more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure that all young people know that that's there for them.
Yes. Yeah.
I also think, if people can't get there, Kathy, maybe virtual is good as well. We can do a bit more virtual. And I do know you are doing some virtual, because I know Xavier sent that to me and said that you're doing some virtual. So there are lots of ways around it. I mean, the one at Easterside with the young people, 7 to 12, I think, if you advertise that mainly as a football session or something like that, and then sit down round a table after they've played football and get the comments and etc. and the information you want from them after that, that would be a good thing to do. Right, I know we've got people sitting waiting with their hands up. Sue Butcher, I think you were before Tony Parkinson.
No, Chair, Tony was before me.
All right. Tony, do you want to come in now?
I will, Chair. Yeah, thank you. Apologies, my camera's off, but my internet connection is not very good at home today. It's great that this work's happening, but I think we all know the proof of the pudding will be if we actually address the issues that the young people raise. And I just wanted to check what route we were going to approve whatever it is we're going to do, and suggest, if it isn't in the plan, that's in the form of an executive report or something, so we get whole council buy-in to it, and something that we can then monitor to make sure that we've got some kind of discipline ourselves over addressing whatever issues are raised. So it was a question for Sue more than anyone else, Chair.
Tony will pick that one up. I think it's a good idea.
Right, over to you, Sue.
Yeah, thank you. It's very salutary and disappointing for me that we're hearing that young people aren't getting the documentation, for example, that they need to be able to manage their lives as they go forward. And I apologise to those who haven't received it. Now, I thought it had got better recently, so I'll talk to Tia and to Xavier about that, and whether it has or hasn't got better. And we'll also, talk to some young people who are sort of in the process of leaving care to make sure that they're getting their documents. But yeah, let's hope it has got a bit better. I completely acknowledge the experiences of those that haven't had the documents, and we'll make it a focus going forward. So that's something you've heard here first, Xavier and Tia, and indeed Louisa. So I'll chat to you more about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Louisa, do you want to come in on this?
Thank you, Chair. It was more around at the groups. You're asking young people to share their opinions and their views and what they're not happy with. Is there some form of support then directed for that young person afterwards? Because for them, they've brought that up. That's clearly affected them in some way. What support are we then offering that young child?
Yeah, Louisa, you're right, and we have a responsibility for supporting young people who come along to those sessions. So if they did ever need support, or we pick up the fact that they need support in a particular area, we would definitely pass on their information, or have a conversation with them about the best way that we can support them. So whether or not that, so for instance, on the Care Leavers Forum last week, we had a young person, we were asking some questions about getting into education training and education training and employment, and the positives, what they had in their life that enabled them to get onto a course or on training or an apprenticeship and all the rest of it. And one of the care leavers there hasn't got anything at the moment. There was a number of reasons for that, but actually we were able to get the support from the leaving care manager, and his PA will have gone out to see him this week to talk about a leaflet that he picked up about training at Middlesbrough football ground. So he got support very quickly. So we're very keen on making sure we don't ever leave anybody in a very with any kind of anxiety or in a struggle. We would always support them to address those issues quickly.
Thank you.
Tony, you've still got your hand up. Do you want to come back?
Oh, sorry, Chair, I've just forgotten to take it down.
Okay, thank you. Anna, I can't see any more hands. Anybody else want to speak on this subject? Right, thank you very much indeed for that report. It did bring a little bit of discussion among us, so that is really good. So we'll move on to the next item, which is fostering in Middlesbrough, Q3 data, and this is going to be introduced by Jenny Rowan.
Thank you, Chair. If the PowerPoint could be brought up, that would be really appreciated, please. I'll try. There we go. Can everybody see that? Is everyone able to see that? Sorry.
Yep. Yes.
Yep. Sorry. Sorry, my screen's it's gone funny, so I can't quite tell. So, at the request of we've had a meeting previously, haven't we, in regards to the presentation of the information for fostering, and as a result of that we've reduced it quite significantly, so it's more impactful in terms of the information that we're sharing. So I'll just go through to the main body. So you'll see that the number of inquiries in Q3 was really quite low. We did have a couple of months where, well, one month in particular where there was no inquiries at all. The inquiries, how we capture inquiries is in respect to people that have actually filled out an inquiry form on Middlesbrough fostering website, which then comes through to the fostering service. We do get a number of telephone calls off prospective applicants and have conversations with them at that juncture, and then if they are interested further in pursuing fostering assessment, we will ask them to complete that form. The positive news though is that Q4, which will be reflected subsequently down the line, is that we've had a quite significant increase in fostering inquiries, and also that conversion into initial visits and stage 1 and 2. We've currently got 5 prospective fostering families under stage 1 that are due to imminently go into stage 2 full assessment, with proposed fostering family placement panel dates in June 2022. So it's a good news story, and I think it pays testament to the marketing campaign that started in January. It is starting to have an impact in terms of generating really good quality leads, inquiries, and then the conversion rate thereafter. So the number of fostering families in Q2, we had 130, and that has reduced to 122. That's a combination of both mainstream fostering families, but also fully approved connected carers. This doesn't include the number of families that we have as temporary approved connected carers. And you'll see that the number of children that are placed within our in-house foster carers, so the combination of both connected carers and mainstream carers, it remains relatively static at around 50% of our looked after children are in-house with our foster carers who are receiving our support, our training. The number of foster placements available for children that are not occupied, there's been a significant decrease in that for comparative to Q2, which was 50 and now is 15 in Q3, and there's a combination of reasons in respect to that. The quality of our data is improving as we're moving over to the use of our LCS system, and we're using data performance reports and analytics, so the quality of our information is certainly improving. But in addition to that, we're also reviewing fostering families' terms of approval. So for example, we may have had fostering families that have been approved for 3 children, but in reality, given their circumstances, that they're not able to care for 3 children. It may be 1 or 2 children, so we're reviewing everyone's terms of approval so they're actually congruent with what they're actually able to provide and support. That 15 will also be inclusive of fostering families that are providers of respite only care, so may be able to provide respite to support stability for fostering families and children, maybe for a weekend a month, maybe a little bit more, sometimes it can be a little bit less. Also, in addition to that, we do have quite a number of fostering families that are approved for babies only, so 0 to 2, and that's as a result again of their physical environment whereby they don't have a spare bedroom. So in terms of occupancy, we are ever increasing on that, and our sufficiency is improving. Deregistrations, you'll see that in Q2 we had 4 fostering families deregister, which was the equivalent of placements for 7 of our children, and connected carers 1, which was 2 of our children. And then in Q3 there was 5 mainstream fostering families that were deregistered, which was the provision of, or potential provision of placements for 5 children. Connected was 7, which equated for 7 children, and foster to adopt 2 foster to adopt, which equated to 2 children. In regards to the connected carers, all but 1 of those children in Q3 achieved permanence via a legal order, so a special guardianship order with those respective connected carers. So whilst it's a deregistration, it's a good news story in terms of these children have actually, their care experience has ended in respect to looked after children, and they've secured permanence via the legal order. In regards to our mainstream families, as you'll be aware and was cited in previous meetings that we've held, we have been working through a considerable amount of fostering families that have been on hold for extended periods of time, that aren't able to provide foster placements for our children for a variety of different reasons. And now we're very much at the end of that now, where all of our fostering families are predominantly providing foster placements for our children, say for unexpected circumstances such as illness, family crisis, that they need to be on hold for. Foster to adopt children, again, that's where our children are now into adoption regulations, and their permanence is going to be imminently secured through legal orders and adoption orders being granted for our children with their forever families. Panel activity. We had 4 foster care reviews taken to family placement panel in Q2, and now that's up to 9. month on month we'll see that increase, because as we utilise the opportunity to use family placement panel as another checks and balances opportunity, really, in regards to the work that we are undertaking, and using our independent panel members, our family placement panel, to check that are we doing things correctly, providing our critical friends in regards to that as well, but also where there's been some worries around potential standards of care or changes to approval. So that will go up month on month and quarter by quarter. You'll see that in quarter 2 we had 1 foster and family approved for as mainstream, which was 1 child or 2 children of siblings, and that was provision of respite only, and that's the same for quarter 3, which is 1 foster and family, and that was for 1 child. Our connected carers, in quarter 2 we had 4 connected carers fully approved, which was for 8 children. In quarter 3 we've had 6 connected carers fully approved, which is for 6 children. And matches for children in their long-term fostering families. In quarter 2 we had 7 matches, so 10 of our children were matched with their long-term foster carers. And in quarter 3 there was 1 child matched with their long-term foster carers. Again, in quarter 4 you'll see quite a rapid increase in that, in terms of the amount of children that have been long-term matched with their respective fostering families. There's been an awful lot of work undertaken between the children looked after teams and the fostering service to progress plans of permanence for our children and young people. In respect to supported lodgings, in quarter 2 there were no supported lodgings providers approved. In quarter 3 we've had 1 supported lodgings provider approved, and they're already providing support to 1 young person. I think it's important to note that of all our newly approved carers and supported lodgings, we're quite proactive in children and young people being appropriately matched and placed with these carers, and supporting them through supervision and training. So in respect to what's working well within the fostering service and supported lodgings, all of our staff are receiving monthly reflective supervision. Our workforce continue to scale themselves on average of 7 or 8 out of 10 in respect to work satisfaction. We do have increased levels of compliance and management oversight evidence within foster and family records, so management grip is ever increasing. We've introduced and implemented a number of new policies that have been introduced to the staff and foster and families. That was quite a significant gap within the service previously. We've devised a 12-month training programme which includes face-to-face training from Bath, and also the e-learning from the training hub, which is all specific to the training needs identified within the fostering service. It's about building our staff's confidence and clarity around what the expectations of self should be, and then expectations of others, so they have clarity of purpose and their role. Our supported lodgings providers are now enjoying monthly formal supervision and the opportunity to attend support groups. And we'll currently have our first cohort of fostering academy carers that are being nurtured within our service, and are on target to complete the training, support and development standards within 12 months of approval. That's massive progress as a service, because previously we've had fostering families who haven't completed the training, support and development standards despite being approved for sometimes in excess of 3 years, and it's a regulatory requirement that is done within 12 months for our mainstream families. And all of the foster carers that are currently being supported through our academy report really positive feedback in regards to the level of support, supervision and training that they're being provided. We have the large-scale marketing campaign, which is being developed in close consultation with our services and the marketing team. I think the level of liaison and working with our marketing colleagues is something which is quite new, but it's certainly having impact, and that's evidenced by the uptake and our engagement with inquiries in January and February thus far. We've implemented the pathways through fostering training, and that's underway and has been well received by our carers. The recruitment strategy sits alongside the marketing strategy for the local authority. Our social worker caseloads continue to remain stable and are conducive to improving quality of practice in addition to compliance. Because it's all well and good that we can implement lots of things in terms of training, support, but actually our staff need the opportunity to be able to do that direct work with fostering families and build upon their skills base as well. Linking in with what I've just mentioned before, we're developing our ICT systems to streamline working and provide greater clarity for performance, quality and understanding fostering families' journey. We're very much working on the principle of trying to embed practice similar to being able to see a child's journey throughout our systems, of being able to do that for our fostering families as well, and then subsequently our children in their care in addition. We've introduced peer supervision within the service, and whilst at its formative stages, the feedback from that has been really helpful because we have massive skills and experience within the team, and it's really harnessing that and building upon people's confidence and ability to share. We are embedding early permanence planning meetings and midway reviews for children in connected care arrangements, so supporting permanency being achieved at the right time. So we're really clear from the earliest opportunity of how we can work in collaboration with the children's social work teams and progress permanency for our children in a timely manner. And that's further being developed to include family group conferencing service. So all of our connected carers moving forward that are approved on a temporary basis with their consent will be referred for a family group conference, which will assist with stability but will also assist with longevity within the care planning and support network. And we are at the formative stages of the implementation of the Mockingbird, with our first event taking place in February of this month, with foster carers and fostering social workers. In terms of what we're worried about, because there are worries, there's lots of positives there, but there are still some worries, that we are worried about the impact of COVID-19 on the recruitment of foster carers, and the lack of inquiries, and it's difficult in undertaking home visits because some people are still really quite apprehensive about that. But we are flexible and adapt our working style to individual people's and families' needs. We do not have enough in-house foster carers to place all of our children in internal provision, and the recruitment of fostering families remains a challenge. However, we know that's not unique to this local authority, and there is a national shortage of fostering families. And that's it. So has anybody got any questions?
Thank you, Jennifer, for that report. I can see a few people. Councillor Udin.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, thank you. Jenny, can I just ask, you mentioned on earlier in the slide that 50 foster carers available, not occupied. I know you gave the various reasons as well, you said, yeah, but do we invite external people, like external authorities, to utilize our families available? Like our neighboring authorities, if you like, sometimes I understand the different authorities want a placement wherever they can, when on emergency and so on,
Yeah, we do approach other local authorities, and then we are approached as well in respect to where any local authority is struggling to find a fostering family for a child or children. We do reach out to our counterparts in neighbouring authorities to ascertain whether they do have any provision available. I have to say that generally the answer is no, because I think we're all experiencing the same challenges in regard to availability of fostering families. I'm not sure if that answers.
Can I just check that, please, Chair? Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you said you're not sure about the availability, but what I'm saying, when we have 50 foster care, quite significant number available, not occupied, like, can we sell them to elsewhere? This is what I meant.
Okay.
Utilize the other families, the families from other authorities.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, other children.
So in terms of that data, I think a significant part of it being noted that there was 50 was around the incorrect data, and carers' actual whilst they had an approval for an example, if they had approval for 3 children, in real terms, they only had provision for 1. So that's why the number is markedly reduced for this quarter. So, and in terms of the children that are typically both ourselves and neighbouring authorities struggle to find fostering families for, so our older young people with more complex needs, typically we do not have provision for internally for those our own children. So where that does come up, if a neighbouring authority requested that from ourselves, the likelihood is actually we would have one of our own children that needs to be able to utilise that care arrangement, that fostering family.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Answer your question, Councillor. Yeah. Okay. Rachel
thanks.
Farnham, I think you wanted to come in. You're on mute, Rachel.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Thank you, Chair. I was just going to support what Jenny said there in relation to Councillor Ruddin's question. Whilst the piece of work that Jenny and the fostering service have done, Councillor Ruddin, is review every single foster carer and their availability for how many children. And as a result of that piece of work, we've reduced that number down to 15. So it's to give confidence really that we're utilising every bed space that we have, because we did have some carers that were approved for, under the wrong categories. So it's assurance really that the position we've got now is a kind of really well evidenced position.
I think what everybody's saying, Councillor Uddin, is we've changed it from having all these places to a realistic position of what we actually have. It's not that we have spare places we can offer to somebody else. Okay, right, Councillor Smiles, I think you wanted to come in.
Thank you, Councillor Hobson. Yeah, I was just wondering, when, I think it's probably one for Jennifer, when a foster carer leaves, is there a full debrief done looking at the reasons why the foster carers left and any reasons that they might have, if we've really looked at ways to address some of their concerns, if they have them, to try and prevent them from leaving? Because obviously there's a wealth of experience there that ideally we would like to keep on.
You're on mute, Jennifer.
Sorry, my bad. So before, we try to be proactive. So where we know there's challenges, we always make sure that we increase the frequency and level of supervision that we provide, look at support and training needs. But where we do get to the point of foster carers contemplating resigning for a variety of different reasons, we'll always go out and have conversations with them to identify what the barriers are, what they're worried about, what the complicating factors may be, and seek to address those in an expedited manner. A number of the fostering families that have left fostering altogether for their own personal reasons, such as health. And I think over the 2 years that I've certainly been in the service, we've had in total of, I think it's about 3 fostering families that have continued to foster but gone to an independent fostering agency. So whilst it's 3 and it's significant because it's 3 fostering families that we would want available for ourselves, by and large the number of foster carers that are resigning, it's for their own personal reasons, which unfortunately we've not been able to mitigate against.
Okay, thank you for that answer, Jennifer.
Right, anybody else got any questions? There's a few of you I can't see, so if you have a question, please shout. Right, we shall now move on. Thank you very much for that, Jennifer, much appreciated.
Thank you.
On to the next item, which is item 7, which is Nominate Digital Reach Programme, and it's going to be Ralph Jordison and Louise Jefferson presenting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, Chair. Welcome, other members. I'm just going to share a quick presentation. Just let me know when that loads up, please.
You can see that now. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you. Welcome everyone. My name's Ralph Jordanson, joined with a member of our team, Louisa Jefferson, who you'll be no stranger to. We understand she's quite a seasoned professional on this corporate parenting board. Louisa is our digital policy apprentice. So just to give a bit of context is in March 2021, we were successful in securing a bid for £36,220 to research, consult and produce a policy and practice document for children looked after and children leaving care regarding their online access. This was funded through an organisation called Nominet. Nominet are the leading registration organisation for any.co.uk web address. And this national project was in partnership with Parents Zone, another national digital safety charity, and it covers 9 interlinked projects covering 3 key challenges. The first challenge was building foster carers' skills and confidence. The second challenge was embedding digital skills and support. And the third challenge, which is what we were successful in, was elevating the young people's voices to influence services that impact their digital safety and opportunity. So the purpose of this report is to develop a policy and a practice document for children looked after, care experienced young children and children leaving care regarding their online access. And it recognises that care experienced young people have invaluable insight which is currently underused in relation to policy development. There's some key documentation and research done on that. One piece of research was done through an organisation called Carnegie UK, which was a piece of research which was digital resilience and inclusion for children looked after. And the other piece of research was from Internet Matters, which was vulnerable children in the digital world. And both of those pieces of research identified that children looked after were significantly at heightened risk of becoming, at risk of contact issues, contact risks, youth-produced sexual imagery, coercion and blackmail. So we intend to extend and improve the channels of communication, feedback and views, and develop a policy for children looked after. So progress so far. Well, we've recruited an apprentice who's Louisa. I'll let Louisa introduce herself, and we've both been trained in impact measurement and management by an organisation called InFocus. I'm going to let Louisa just pop in briefly here just to talk about our theory of change and the blog, because I think it's really useful. Louisa, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, thank you, Ralph. So, as Ralph said, we undertook impact measurement training, and from this training, we were suggested to create a theory of change plan, which would identify the problems that we see for children in care, while at, like the risks when they're online. So we identified them, and it was also to how we were going to address these issues and what we wanted our overall outcome to be. So me and Ralph together sat and planned this out collaboratively, and produced it into a document. With also then taken it and produced a young person version as well, so young people can see the plan that we're looking to produce. Then following this, after a meeting with Parents Zone, which is one of the stakeholders in this bid, they suggested that we created a blog, and it would be from my perspective as a care experienced young person going through this bid and how I view it and how like the benefits of it and what we could change, what we could do differently, whether it's like being as used as effectively as it possibly could, if that makes sense. And it's just like sort of tracking the development that we go through throughout the process. Thank you. Back to you, Ralph.
Thanks for that, Louisa. So regarding online risks, we've also noted the sheer amount of online risks that are presented through our Vulnerable, Exploited, Missing and Trafficked group. So that's a strategic group that meets twice a month and it kind of deals with the probably the most heightened risk young people of the town. And some of those risks that are coming through, risks outside of the home, those extra familial threats that are outside in the community and online, such as online grooming, exposure to inappropriate content, youth-produced sexual imagery, peer-on-peer abuse, and then additional things which we've seen, such as drug sales online and also vapes, illegal vapes, and weapon sales as well. So the progress so far is also that we've consulted with the steering group. We've developed a steering group, and young people have been consulted in regards to the title of the project, which they've named DigiWise. Our steering group, which is some esteemed members of that group that sit on this panel. We've also developed an action plan which drives the project forward. We've hosted a Care Leavers football match and consultation event. We've designed and implemented a consultation survey for those young people. We've designed a consultation survey for foster carers, residential workers and social workers, and we're in the process of undertaking those consultations under those two items on G and H. So early findings, I'll just whiz through these really quickly. At the time, this was done with just under about 17 young people. That has increased now. We've had 100% that are accessing the internet, 93% are accessing one or more social media accounts as their main activity. 60% of the young people surveyed are going online for more than 8 hours a week, which is probably no surprise. 87% are using the smartphone as their main device to access the internet and using their own data plans over the residential home's internet connection. And I think that's quite interesting how we draw out and find a little bit more about that information and find out why the young people are choosing to do that. 60% of the young people surveyed report that they'd seen sale of drugs on their social media accounts. 33% had requests to send youth-produced sexual imagery, which is indecent images, and 73% had seen fake news reports. So one of the outcomes of the project has been the introduction of the UK Council for Internet Safety, which is a set steering group headed by the Department for Culture, Media, Sport, DCMS, and that digital passport is a new communication tool really to create a link between, provide structured conversation between young people, care experienced young people and their carers. 3 key parts of it, and we'd just ask members to fully endorse that and encourage that use right across the board of our corporate parent responsibilities. The other development has been the foster carers survey. We're going to continue with this and get our foster carers to complete. We're going to hopefully identify some key areas and key gaps in their knowledge, experiences and current understanding, and that is due to be, was expected for January 2020. There's been a slight delay. We're hoping that'll be rolled out by the end of this month, and the next update for this board will be June and July. Just a couple of the considerations there for the UK Council Digital Passport. And that's the end of my presentation, members. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Ralph. Has any of the members got any questions, please?
Let me just stop sharing. Do apologise.
Can't see anybody's hands. Right, I can see a few people now. I can't see any hands up at all. No questions for Ralph. Right, well, thank you very much indeed for that, Ralph. That was very interesting. And
thank
we
you,
shall move on to the next agenda item, which is Performance Against Corporate Parenting Board Strategy. And this is over to Rachel Farnham, I believe.
Thank you, Chair. Paula Jemson's going to be presenting this scorecard.
Thank you, Chair. Susie, are you able to share the presentation, please?
I think Caroline has beat me to it, and it should be on the
thank you
screen
very
for
much,
now.
Caroline.
Thank you.
If we can move on to the second slide, please. So this first slide talks about the demand in terms of the number of looked after children, and we'll see from the graph that in the same time last year there was 586 children that were looked after by Middlesbrough. That has reduced to 500 at the end of January, and you'll see through the graph there that this has been a constant decrease where there's been more children ending looked after status than those that have started to become looked after by the local authority, and that continues on that trajectory. As it stands today, we've got 495 children looked after. There's been a rapid reduction over the year. What you'll see there is a decrease of 14.6% over the last 12 months. And overall, since our height of 702 children, that accounts to a 28.7% reduction. So for every 0.6 children entering care, one child exits care, and we've maintained that ratio over the last 7 months. Thank you. If you could move on. So the way we measure ourselves in terms of how many looked after children we have and should have is that we look at how many children are looked after per 10,000 of the looked after population of the population of children cared for in Middlesbrough. So we compare that to how our regional and our statistical neighbours are doing. In February last year, there was a gap of 70.69 children. That gap has reduced and got smaller and smaller, and what we want to see is that we are comparable to our regional and our statistical neighbours. So the gap currently is 42.93, and that's reduced from 70.69 in the same period last year. So as of today, there's 149 children that are looked after in Middlesbrough per 10,000 of the children's population. Our statistical neighbour rate is that of 134, so month on month we get nearer that target. Thank you. With regards to social work caseloads, they've consistently reduced across the improvement journey, and you'll see from the graph here that August there's been a month on month reduction. The average caseload per service area varies slightly, but across the whole service, the average caseload on social workers' caseloads is 16.7 children. And that's a level that is going to allow us to continue to support improvements in practice. So we're happy with that. Thank you. With regards to permanency, we had 22 children that ceased to be looked after in January. Of the children that did, those 22 children that did secure permanence, they had spent an average of 104 weeks in care. That's a reduction from those children that ended looked after status in December. It took those children slightly longer to secure permanence. Of the 22 children that ceased to be looked after, 4 children were adopted. 6 children had secured either a special guardianship order or a child arrangement order. 8 children turned the age of 18 and will be supported through a pathway plan in the care leaving service. 3 children returned to family and 1 other. Thank you. You'll see from the first graph here, this is children who are subject to a care order and who are looked after by parents, so the local authority would share parental responsibility in those cases. We've seen a significant reduction since our height in September 2020. At that point, we had 99 children that were cared for in this type of arrangement. You'll see from the graph again that this has reduced month on month, and there are currently 39 children that are cared for in that arrangement, which is an overall reduction of 60%. It means in those cases that we have supported families to manage independently, and they've gone on to secure permanence through us no longer needing to be parents and share that parental responsibility for them. So we would be able to support them in a less intrusive way. With regards to children in connected carers placements, we have overall reduced from 200 at the height of 212 children to our current situation, which is 105 children who are cared for in connected carers placements. That's overall a 50.4% reduction, and it's reduced from 108 that I reported to you in December. So 3 children have secured permanence from connected carers arrangements. With regards to those children who are in adoptive placements, we've managed to reduce the amount of time it takes for children between entering care and being placed in adoptive placements. You'll see currently that it takes children 380 days on average to be placed in an adoptive placement following becoming looked after. This has reduced from 558 days in our 2019-2020 adoption scorecard data. Thank you. We can move on. When we look at placement stability, we have less than 5% of our looked after children who have experienced a placement breakdown in the last 12 months. In January last year, there was 9.8% of looked after children who had sadly experienced a placement breakdown in the 12 months prior to that. So we can see that we are working hard to make sure that children experience stability in the placement. At the end of January 22, there was 37 children who had experienced 3 or more placement moves in the last 12 months. That amounts to 7.4% of the looked after population, but has reduced significantly in the last 12 months. And if you look at the same period last year, there was actually 127 children who had experienced 3 or more placement moves. So it's, sorry, no, it's fine. I was just going to say it's performance that we're really proud of, and we're working really hard to maintain that. Thank you. With regards to quality and impact, this slide here talks a little bit about how we're making sure that from a compliance point of view that our children are visited. We have 94% of our children who were visited last month, and 83% of looked after children were seen alone last month. Nearly all of our children have had a supervision from a manager, which makes sure that their plans are being driven with focus, and there was 94% of children who whose plans were supervised by management. We have 98.9% of our children who have had an up-to-date personal education plan meeting, and all of this performance has continued to be maintained at this level really for the last 12 months. With regards to children's health assessments, 92.4% of our children have had a health check that's been conducted and recorded within the last 12 months. And again, performance has remained consistently high there. Dental checks, we continue to strive to achieve this for our children. 66.8% of children overall across the service have had a dental check in the last 12 months. We're working with our fostering team, with our residential staff to make sure that we continue to improve this month on month. All of this performance is tracked weekly with our teams in head of service performance clinics, but monthly we present to our director to make sure that there is that challenge, that scrutiny and oversight of it. I wanted to share just this last page. This month we've had a focus on quality assurance within the looked after service in preparation for the monitoring visit in March, and as part of that we have reached out to our children who are looked after to get some feedback about their experiences. And this slide here talks a little bit about the outcome of that. So what we found from that is that 50% of children that were consulted reported that things had improved for them by a scale of 4. So they were asked to scale how much things had improved in their life. 25% of our children reported that things had improved for them by 2. 12.5% reported that things had improved for them by 1, and 12.5% had reported that things had stayed the same. When you look at some of the detail of what children have said, children said that they felt listened to by the social worker. We had one child say that we take into account thoughts and feelings, that we do what we say we're going to do, get things done quickly, and that they're not waiting for things to happen. Another child reported that there'd been no false promises, so I feel good. When asked what difference the social workers had made to their lives, these are some of the things that children reported to us as part of this piece of work. They reported that they were getting on better with their family, that the social worker had helped them a lot, that they'd received the help and support that they need, that the social worker had helped them to move from residential care to a foster home, which had been their wish. One young person said, "Well, I now live in care. I'm glad that social workers are involved. I feel happier and safer now that I do not live with my mum. I remember when I lived with mum, social workers or support workers had to come to the house every morning to make sure I was dressed for school." So it felt really important that the Corporate Parenting Board had an opportunity to hear some of what our young people are saying as part of our quality assurance framework and processes. Thank you. That's the end of that presentation. If anybody has any questions.
For that, Paula, that's a very, very positive report. And I would like to say that I'm quite sure all of the teams that are involved throughout must be very, very proud of themselves to see where they've come from and what they've got to. And there's the only one thing that I could see on there was the dental checks. And I think we need to get on top of them again, because obviously we're not up to scratch as we should be on that. Okay.
Thank
Right,
you,
I've
yes.
got some hands up. Sue Watcher, would you like to say something?
I'm terribly sorry, Chair. I meant to put clapping hands up and put a hand up instead. So I'm just going to back out gracefully at this stage.
Councillor Davison.
Yes, just one thing I wanted to ask was with regards to the workload. You've shown a huge reduction in this. Is this due to less children that were looked after, or is it due to the more staff? Can you let us know that?
So I think it's a combination of a number of factors. The demand continues to be intense. There is a demand there that's increased, but the throughput has improved. So the quality of practice is meaning that actually children are moving through the system in a quicker way. We've readdressed our thresholds, so we know that the children that are receiving a service are those that need to receive the service, and our children are securing permanence in a more timely way. So we do have less looked after children that require our support. So I think it's fair to say that there'll be a number of complex factors that all feed into caseloads being reduced. We're working really hard to stabilise the workforce, to recruit permanent staff and reduce the number of agency social workers that are working for us. So yeah, there's a lot of different factors, I think.
Right. Thank you for that, Ger, and thank you to everybody for all the work they're doing to bring this down to such a low level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davison. Councillor Uddin.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah. Paula, can I just check? You know, the 3 children returned home, you mentioned in the report. And after they're gone home, do we keep in touch with them, with the children or the families? Say, how's it going for a certain time or so when they go home?
So in all of those cases, we will have presented a plan to court that will be underpinned by a detailed assessment of need for us to be reassured that actually it's the right plan for those children. And part of that comes a support plan that the court will endorse. So in nearly all cases, we will be supporting families with a child in need plan, or in some cases a supervision order for a period of time, and then we'd always be considering at that point whether or not actually involvement could end completely, or whether or not they would need a lower level service, in which case we'd be considering early help support at that point. So yeah, in all cases we'd make sure that families were supported with a plan.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Higgins?
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if all councillors get an invitation to this meeting, or is it only people who wanted to go on the panel? Because I think, because we're all corporate parents, I think even if they only come to the odd meeting, it should be, I mean, there's not many councillors at this meeting. And you can do it in your home. So I am a bit disappointed because of all the hard work the social workers and everybody involved has done. So there's not more councillors here to hear how well they're doing.
Thank you, Councillor Higgins. Susie, do you want to answer that?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Higgins. Yes, you're right. All of our councillors are corporate parents. Obviously, we have allocated places to the corporate parenting board, but I can rest assure you that all councillors are informed of when the corporate parenting boards are, and if they wish to attend, they can obviously do that. Also, as well, we have the beauty that because they are live streamed on YouTube, anybody can watch them. So if they don't particularly want to come to the meetings themselves, they can pick them up or they can watch them at a later date. But obviously, if you want me to obviously circulate the agenda directly to all councillors, then I'm happy to do that after the meeting. But as I said, the papers are available and all members can attend if they wish to as observers. Thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
I think as Susie says, people, all members can see it on the virtual meeting if they wish to do so. However, what we are trying to do, Councillor Higgins, is get a couple more training sessions in and try and get people more involved and more understanding going out to them. And I'm quite sure if some of the members actually see the reduction in these figures, they will also sit up and think, yes, what a wonderful job these people are doing. So I thank you for bringing that, Councillor Higgins, and I would love to see more people at these meetings. I really would. Any further comments? No further comments. Well, thank you again, Paula, for that very, very positive report. And once again, thank you to all of the teams who worked so hard. Thank you. So we'll move on now. The next agenda item is any other urgent business. We have none. And the next agenda item is agenda item 10. We need to ask about the exclusion of the press and public. And we need to consider passing a resolution pursuant to section 100A for Part 1 of the Local Government Act 1972, excluding the press and public from the meeting during consideration of the following items on the grounds that if present, there would be disclosure to them of exempt information falling within paragraph 2 of Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act, and the public interest in maintaining the exception outweighs the public interest in disclosing the information. In other words, would you all be happy to exclude the press and public? Thank you. I saw a couple of hands up there, so I would say yes, everybody's happy to do that. So can you tell me when we come offline, please, Caroline?
Yeah, I'll just send the feed now. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.